So our next storyteller, I'm going to do that quick share thing again because I want to introduce to you Dr. Noor Ali, who is coming from Florida. And Dr. Noor, when you look up the word resilience in the dictionary, she's so sick of hearing me say this, but when you look it up, Dr. Noor Ali's picture is there. Her story is just so breathtaking. And we call this story The Path Less Traveled. And I think you're going to see why. Now, this story is her full, what we call her story fruition. So she is a doctor, but she's now in health insurance, and everyone wants to know how that path happened. So this is the longer story version, and watch again for the same thing, the characters and the time travel. And she actually is going to be traveling the globe in this story, and watching those smooth transitions. I am very excited about sharing Dr. Noor Ali with everyone. So please, everybody, please give it up for Dr. Noor Ali with The Path Less Traveled.
I'm 5 years old, sitting on my grandfather's lap, and we're reading our favorite book together. It's Gray's Anatomy, the #1 anatomy textbook for medical students worldwide. I've got hearts in my eyes as I look up at my Dada. He looks down at me and says, "You're going to be a doctor someday, just like me, aren't you?" "Yes, Dada, I am." The wheels are in motion. My educational trajectory is fast-tracked and propelled into a track towards medicine. In middle school, I'm taking high school courses. In high school, I'm done taking advanced college courses. I'm 18 years old, about to start my college career living in the Big Apple, when I get a phone call. "Hello? Dada's died." "What?" My father looks at us and says, "We all have to move back to Bangladesh now." Before I know it, I'm standing in 118 degrees sweltering heat in the middle of my all-women's college campus in Bangladesh, this time clutching my very own Gray's Anatomy, when I'm tripping over chickens and goats. In New York City, I would have been eating this off a halal chicken and rice cart. "Dada, where are you? What is this? Where am I?" My world is upside down. I'm too skinny because I can't eat the food. I can't communicate with my peers. I'm struggling just to survive. The only thing that brings me comfort is my education. So I dive in deep. One of my professors recognizes my ambition and says, "Wow, you just timed 16 minutes and 30 seconds for this C-section. No one's ever done that before." I was on a roll. In my free time, I founded an internationally award-winning community project that serves free antenatal care to slum-dwelling women all over Bangladesh. My work was awarded on an international stage by the United Nations in 2014. I'm 23 years old and in my final year of medical school, and love is the last thing on my mind. A man that I met 6 years earlier finds me halfway across the globe. He asks my father if we can go on a date. "Sure, if you marry her." "Okay, can I have some time to think about this?" "Yeah, I'll give you 15 minutes. That was on a Wednesday. By Friday evening, we were married. That road showed up pretty quickly, but I took it and I never looked back. The beginning of the road is rocky, filled with uneven potholes, long distance troubles, but I'm thriving in my surgical career. 2 years go by and it's time for me to move back to New York City to be with my husband. The road gets rockier. I was a superstar surgeon in Bangladesh, but in order for me to practice surgery in the States, I had to pass the United States medical licensing exams. On paper, I just look like a high school graduate. I'm mopping floors at my first job in America at a Subway sandwich shop. And all I can think about is this exam. To me, it's like this enormous fire-breathing dragon. I'm terrified. The heat of studying for this exam is melting my armor. I finally get my test results back. And it's not what I expected. I missed it by one question. Now what am I going to do? My paths just changed again. Hello, sunny Florida. I'm 26 years old, living with my in-laws, trying out different careers, and nothing makes me feel worthy. Until this opportunity for health insurance. Health insurance? They never taught this in medical school. I grab it and I dive in deeper. In my second week of training, I'm handed this medical underwriting guide. Amy, training next to me, is Googling and looking up terminology like cholecystectomy. It's cholecystectomy, resection of the gallbladder, indicated in cholelithiasis, in some cases of chronic cholecystitis. It's like I'm reading Grey's Anatomy again, and I'm fluent in this language. And that's when I knew that my road just merged into my path. My medical career, my understanding of global healthcare systems, and now my experience in health insurance were now coming together to create the new Dr. Noor Healthcare Advisor, my very own personal brand. Since then, I've reinvented the customer experience journey for purchasing health insurance. Using my insider's lens, I work with trailblazing entrepreneurs and help them access quality, customizable health plans. The value that I bring to the table is my clinical know-how, so I can instantly evaluate what coverage you need, and sometimes more importantly, what you don't. I've traveled on many roads less traveled, but I have always trusted in myself that I'm going to figure it out. And that's the richness of life.
Woo! On mic.
Yeah,
all right.
Awesome.
Wow.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh.
So many roads.
And so many emotions. I mean, up and down. That was incredible.
Oh, Dr. Noor, mic, please, because we're going to have a little conversation about that.
Thank you. Okay.
How did that feel?
It felt really good. It felt like Linda, Melissa, we've been working for many weeks on this, and for it to finally come to fruition, and it's so concise and compact. I'm like, that was it. This is what we worked weeks to develop, and it was amazing that it just this result, this outcome was just beautiful to deliver finally.
I'm so happy. And I can just hear you on a podcast. So podcast hosts that have anything to do with health or insurance or anything like that, Dr. Noor Ali, she's ready to go. So, and all the speakers, quite honestly. But Dr. Noor, there's so many moments. And what is interesting when you are formulating a well-crafted story is it starts off rough, we are just mining and finding all these little moments. And then my superpower, I guess, is I can be able to help you put it into the scene by scenes, and we do some weed whacking where we take out characters or we take out conversations that's not really serving the story or it's going too long, and we really make it a concise story so that she can use this in a variety of ways. And what's really beautiful, and I wanted to show this full story fruition, is that she has several tiny stories now. And she can talk about living in New York and being like a super educated child that is gifted, and then go all the way over to, building a brand, right? So she has quite a bit of content that this story can help deliver for you. So how has business been since you've started? Because I know you have been using this on podcasts a little bit, and she's amazing on Instagram. Follow her, follow all of our speakers. What's happened since you started using more storytelling for your business?
Yeah. So what's interesting, Linda, is I didn't wait until we were kind of done creating my story. I was as I was learning, I was delivering, I was live practicing during my podcast and my live speaking engagements. And even though I was fumbling, it was just a huge impact. Even when the beginning, when I wasn't doing as great of a delivery as I did now, it was still so impactful because I was connecting with people's emotions, right?
Right.
Whereas before we're talking about health insurance, it's such a boring and dry subject. Nobody wants to talk about it. But in this story, I'm still kind of talking about health insurance, but I've kind of weaved in my whole entire life journey into a few minutes. And it's just so much more impactful for me to find a way to deliver where I got from 5 years old to where I am now and how it all ties together. And I just never thought that this was possible because this is my life. Like I never thought about it like a story or like a business, skill. But in fact, it is a business skill. And I think for the first time, I was able to kind of zoom out and have an out of body experience to see my life in a few minutes storyboard, which is so, so exciting. And for me to be able to skillfully present that to an audience, it's just mind blowing and so impactful.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad that you're using it. Yes. So a storyboard is something that we do use in this workshop. So once we are finding the scenes, we actually put it in a storyboard like an animator would use so that she can have a map of what her points are. Because I hope you're noticing people are not reading. These are memorized stories, right? So the storyboard is a method that we use for memorization. And it's nice because you can literally go, I'm in scene 3, and you can kind of see it in your mind's eye of where you're going. So that was wonderful. There was also a moment, sometimes when we're telling stories, we can hit kind of a sensitive nerve, right? And when we got to the part where you did not pass the exam, that's still a little bit salty for you. And we had to get there carefully. So one thing in storytelling that's really important is you want to be telling a scar story, not a wound story. So if it still really hurts, it's probably not ready for public consumption, right? You want to be able to look back in time. In that particular moment when we needed to get there, because in order for Dr. Noor to get to the next chapter in her life, we had to face that moment when you didn't pass the test. So in that moment, when you were feeling kind of vulnerable, we came up with that metaphor of the dragon. How did that help you get through it?
Oh, yeah, I would say it's a little bit more than salty. Like it's a big, huge pain for me. Even when I was practicing for this event in my mind, and this is crazy, but I'm surprised that I even had the awareness to recognize it, is when I got to that part of the exam and the dragon, I just stopped. My mind just kind of blocked it and I quit practicing because it was so hard for me to get through. And it still is so hard. When Melissa and I were working together, I think it was like a whole hour, half an hour that we had to stop, take breaks, pause, because I struggled so much to get through that part of my life. But developing this avatar, this character of the dragon helped me because it was a metaphor, and we found a way to make that pain and condense it into a dragon and help move on. But it was really, really hard. I just want to say that, and it is still really hard now. But thanks to Melissa, she helped me get through that part of my life. And when we came up with the dragon, when we came up with this scene, I visibly felt better. So it was almost therapeutic in a way to finally work through this challenge in my life and then, give birth to give blossom to this next chapter of my life. And I don't think I could have done it without this exercise of working through this, because in my mind, it's still a block. It's still like, I don't want to think about that time. I don't want to talk about that time. I think about it as this big fat failure and I just can't overcome it. But only through these exercises was I able to metaphorically overcome it. And now I feel so much better.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. But here's the thing. Life is always unfolding. So You don't know. I mean, you're proof that your path changes a lot, right? And so I commend you on that. But what was beautiful and in storytelling, where there's also an art to how you're going to orchestrate the emotions, right? So you're taking the journey with the audience, and we've got to give them a little relief. So when you got to the dragon scene, I could feel it. I think the audience, if you want to say something in the chat, could you feel that this was a tender moment for her? But then she went, hello, sunny Florida, right? And so she changed the vibration of the story, if you will, to bring it up. So she had to bring the audience up because we were kind of like, oh God, right? And that's really an important aspect to really good storytelling, is a nice balance between serious and funny, poignant, and it's silly. There's all things that we're going to be looking for in every story that we do. You saw that also with Lisa. She was moving humor in and out. Those were strategically placed, believe it or not, in the work. So congratulations. I am going to do a quick quiz. I said that there's recurring characters in stories, and we have 2 in Dr. Noor's. And if you can guess it, first person to guess it, there are 2 recurring characters in her story. One is a person and one is not. What is the not person in the story? And if you put it in, If you get it right, you can have a half-hour consultation with me. So it's worth a half hour if you want to talk about a story. And it's Grey's Anatomy. Cha-ching! She got it.
I got it.
She got the chicken. That was a good one. Yep, chickens came in. And those are known as breadcrumbs, by the way. Those are breadcrumbs in storytelling. So it's actually, the Grey's Anatomy showed up 3 times. It was with Dada. And then when she was with the tripping over chickens, holding her own. And then the third one was when she was doing I love that scene when you are showing, I can't say the word, but when you tell Anne how to say it. Like a doctor.
Cholecystectomy. Yeah.
Do the whole line again, just for kicks and giggles.
Okay, for kicks and giggles. Okay. It's my second week of training, and I'm handed this medical underwriting guide. Amy, next to me, is Googling up words like cholecystectomy. It's cholecystectomy, resection of the gallbladder, indicated in cholelithiasis in some cases of chronic cholecystitis. It's like I'm reading Grey's Anatomy all over again.
Ah! And now, if that doesn't make you feel confident that she can help you with your health insurance, I don't know what does. So great. I love that. So thank you and congratulations to Shane. Half hour on you, or on me to you. Okay.